told carbon dioxide we spew is killing the Earth. You know, global warming and all that. And maybe it is. It's possible. I have my doubts. But for this show, let's assume carbon dioxide emissions are a horrible problem. So is it possible to reduce them enough to make a difference? Stop the destruction? Can we really go green, reduce our carbon footprint? Al Gore's advocacy group, Repower America, claims we can replace all our dirty energy with clean, carbon-free, renewable energy. He gets big applause for saying that. People just want to believe that we can easily switch from coal and oil to pretty windmills and solar farms. Al Gore says it's doable within 10 years, and the audience applauds and applauds.
This goal is achievable.
The former vice president must have made a bunch of money because his advocacy group, Repower America, makes lots of TV ads. In this one, a rugged old guy attacks people like me who like cheap power.
They want to burn more oil and more dirty coal. Problem is, it burns carbon, and it's killing God's green earth. The future's over here. Wind, sun, a new energy grid.
Hey, I'm for wind, sun, new energy grid, if it's economically practical. But if it were, wouldn't it just happen? They wouldn't need to use government force to take money from taxpayers and give it to people pushing green products. I'd like to debate Mr. Gore about this. Please, Mr. Gore, come on the program. You can educate me. I have still this green phone here just for you. Your office has the number. Last time when we asked, you said the climate crisis left you too busy to join. And this time, your office said it's your anniversary. So happy anniversary, Mr. Gore. But since you can't join us, we've invited another left liberal, as he's called himself, Robert Bryce. He's the author of a new book, Power Hungry. Now, I guess you no longer call yourself a left liberal.
Well, look, I educated myself about math and physics, and that was why I wrote this book.
You said you got mugged by the laws of thermodynamics.
I'm a liberal who was mugged by the laws of thermodynamics. That's right.
Well, what about my commuting by bike? Aren't I doing a good thing?
Let's assume you saved a gallon of oil in your commute.
A full gallon.
A full gallon.
It's unlikely.
Global daily energy consumption is 9.5 billion gallons of oil equivalent. So by biking to work, you save the equivalent of what would be 1 drop of ink in 10 gasoline tanker trucks. Or put another way, it's 1 pinch of salt in a 100-pound bag of potato chips. I'm all for biking to work, I'm all for shutting off the lights, but the scale of our energy consumption is gigantic, and that's the first challenge we have to deal with.
It's a pointless gesture, my writing.
Well, if it makes you happy and you get fit and you get exercise and fresh air here in New York, maybe, then go for it.
Let's take your myths
Sure.
one at a time. First, America can replace carbon energy. Al Gore says it's achievable within 10 years. We can switch to 100% carbon-free energy.
Well, it's simply not possible, especially in 10 years. 9 out of 10 units of energy, 9 out of 10 units of power that we consume are produced by hydrocarbons, coal, oil, and natural gas. Any transition away from those sources is going to be a decades-long, maybe even a century-long process.
Wind can power America.
Well, look, wind does not replace oil. This is one of the great fallacies, and it's one that the wind energy business continues to promote. If only we put up more wind turbines, we won't need oil. It's just simply wrong. Electricity plays almost no role in our transportation system. Without oil, we would have no global transportation.
People in my business and the media rave about wind and Denmark, which gets some power from wind. In the New York Times, Thomas Friedman says, if only we could be as energy smart as Denmark.
Right.
And The Atlantic ran a big article, Europe offers a model. Denmark no longer needs to import oil.
Friedman doesn't fundamentally understand what he's talking about when it comes to energy and the scale of energy, nor does he understand what's happened in Denmark.
Your book has a graph showing Denmark's energy consumption, and wind is on there. It's the little one to the left, but Denmark uses 8 times more coal, still more natural gas, 25 times more oil.
Well, and the Atlantic story talked about Denmark and saying, oh, well, they're free of energy imports. Why are they free of energy imports? It's not true. They import all of their coal, but they're an oil exporter. Why? Because they're actively drilling in the North Sea. They've been very aggressive for drilling in oil and gas in the North Sea.
What about solar power?
I'm all for it. I live in Austin. I have 3,200 watts of solar panels on the roof of my house. I believe that solar in many cases is a better option than wind, but it is still extraordinarily expensive.
You have a graph in your book showing the total energy production from every solar panel and every windmill in America. And there's wind and solar at the top. We get nearly as much power from one single coal mine in Kentucky. And that's not a particularly huge
it's the Cardinal mine. It's the 35th largest mine in America. Okay. Go ahead.
Go back to the graph, if you would. Even that is a fraction of the natural gas production in Oklahoma alone.
Sure. And that was a surprising number to me, especially that one coal mine produces about 66,000 barrels of oil equivalent. It's nearly 3/4 as much energy as is produced by all the solar panels and windmills in America in raw energy terms. I mean, this one mine, coal is incredibly important to our economy, and the idea that we're going to quit using it, it's just not true.
We're just beginning. What if we build more windmills and solar panels?
Well, look, I mean, obviously we can, and given the subsidies and mandates that we're now facing, there will be a lot more wind turbines and solar panels put up in America. But, for instance, one nuclear power plant in Texas, the South Texas project, covers about 19 square miles. That's all of the fenced area. They don't use all of that. That's an area slightly smaller than the island of Manhattan. To produce the same amount of power from wind turbines would require an area the size of Rhode Island. This is energy sprawl. If we want to carpet America with wind turbines, and some people seem to think that's okay, I don't.
I hear electric cars is the next biggest thing.
Well, my line is electric cars are the next big thing, and they always will be.
There have been impressive headlines from my brilliant colleagues in the media.
Sure.
The Washington Post. Prices on electric cars will continue to drop till they're within reach of the average family.
Sure.
That was in 1915. In 1959, the New York Times said, electric is the car of the tomorrow. In 1979, the Washington Post, GM has an electric car, breakthrough in batteries, now makes them commercially practical.
We've been hearing the same thing. This is the electric car business. It is a century of failure, tailgating failure. The problem is very simple, and it's not want to. It's not political will. It's simple physics. Gasoline has 80 times the energy density of the best lithium-ion batteries. There's no conspiracy here of big oil or big auto. It's a conspiracy of physics.
So we're deluding ourselves when the politicians just give us this rosy talk about wind and geothermal. And
well, in some cases, yes, obviously. And look, I wish all of these things worked better than they do. We could potentially have a lot of benefit if we were able to take the low power density, the diffused energy that comes from the sun and the wind, and concentrate it and have it reliable so that the lights in the studio are always available. But that's the problem. We still don't have good energy storage. We have essentially no energy storage. It's a problem Thomas Edison worked on. We're working on it today. These are problems of math and physics, not political correctness or carbon content.
Sometimes